At my father's funeral, my husband kept checking his phone. I thought it was work. But when I looked over his shoulder, I saw a message from my best friend. "When are you leaving her?" That night, I pretended I didn't know. I let him cry on my shoulder about family and loyalty. 2 days later, I texted her from his phone and set up a meetup. She showed up. I was waiting there instead. And I brought her husband. My name's Julia. I'm 38. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been married to Mark for 11 years. Or at least I thought I was. We don't have kids. Not because we didn't want them, but because life didn't go that way for us. There were a few losses. I won't get into that now. Just know that we were close. Or so I thought. Mark was my person. My calm during every storm. My best friend outside of Vanessa. I guess that makes what happened worse. My father passed away last month. A heart attack. No warning signs. Just gone. My mom found him on the couch, holding the TV remote like he fell asleep. She thought he was napping. He wasn't. My brother called me with the news. I dropped the phone in the middle of the kitchen. Mark ran over. I couldn't even talk. I just pointed to the floor. He picked it up, said something into it, and then sat down beside me. He held me for hours. We drove to Charleston the next day. It's about 4 hours from Raleigh. We took shifts. I cried a lot. Mark was patient. He told me stories about my dad, tried to make me smile. And it worked for a bit. Vanessa texted me while we were on the road. She said, "I'll be there. Whatever you need." She wasn't just a friend. We were inseparable since college. We met at orientation at NC State. Roommates for 4 years. I was her maid of honor. She was mine. She got married to Drew 6 years ago. Quiet guy. Teaches at the local high school. We had dinner with them every other weekend. Cookouts, game nights, beach trips. I thought we were all friends. The funeral was quiet. My dad didn't want anything fancy. Simple church service, closed casket, because of how fast everything happened. My mom was in shock. My brother tried to hold things together. I was numb. It was raining. The sky looked like a faded bruise. Mark sat next to me. He held my hand the whole time. I remember thinking, at least I have him. During the service, I noticed him glance at his phone. Just quick. Like he was checking the time. Then he did it again. I figured it was work. He's a regional manager at a shipping company. There's always something going wrong. I leaned in and whispered, "Everything okay?" He just nodded and kissed my hand. But then he did it again. And again. After the burial, we went back to my childhood home. Friends and neighbors brought food. My mom just stared out the window. She didn't talk much. I helped where I could. Mark said all the right things. He hugged everyone. Held my shoulder like he was part of the family. That night, after most people left, we sat on the porch with a couple of drinks. I couldn't cry anymore. I was empty. Mark looked out at the yard and said, "Your dad was solid. Straight shooter." I respected him. Then he looked at me. I want to be like that. Loyal. Someone people can count on. He actually cried. I remember reaching for his hand, thinking, this is what love looks like. I told him, he'd be proud of you. Then I said I was going inside to grab us some blankets. I came back out, and he didn't hear me right away. He was holding his phone up, texting. I didn't mean to snoop. I really didn't. But when I got close behind him, I saw a message pop up. Just one sentence. That was all it took. From Vanessa. "When are you leaving her?" I stopped walking. Just stood there. Mark turned and smiled like nothing happened. Said, "You get the thick ones?" I said yeah. Handed him a blanket. Then I said I was tired. Went back inside and sat on the bathroom floor. I stayed there for a long time. No tears. Just shock. When I finally got up, I washed my face and went to bed. He was already under the covers. Reached for me. I let him. He whispered, "We'll get through this." I promise. I said I know. The next morning, I told him I needed time alone with my mom. He agreed. Said he'd drive back to Raleigh to handle some work stuff and come pick me up in 2 days. He kissed me before he left. As soon as the car was gone, I got to work. First, I went into the guest room where he had plugged in his phone overnight. No password. I opened the messages. They'd been talking for almost a year. I scrolled back and saw everything. Hotel meetups, private jokes, even pictures. I almost threw the phone. I saw this one message from her. Sometimes I forget she's your wife. It just feels like we're meant to be. He replied, I'm trying. It's not easy. But I'll figure it out. They had a routine. Lunch breaks. Fake errands. She even snuck over to our house once when I was out of town. It was so casual. Like I was a side character in my own life. I copied the messages. Every screenshot. Then I called Drew. He didn't pick up at first. I left a message. Hey, it's Julia. I really need to talk. Please call me back. He called 20 minutes later. I told him the truth. No sugarcoating. Just facts. There was silence on the other end for a full minute. Then he said, send me what you have. I did. He called back and said, I'm in. What do you want to do? I told him to meet me in Raleigh tomorrow night. I had a plan. We agreed to meet at that cheap motel off 401 near Garner. It was the kind of place people go when they don't want to be seen. That's why I picked it. I used Mark's name to book the room. Room 12. I checked in an hour before the meetup, using a burner phone I bought that morning. I didn't want anything traced back to me. I left my car around the corner, out of sight. Drew showed up early. He parked next to the room, didn't say much when he got out. His face looked hard, like someone who hadn't slept. I handed him a manila folder. It had every screenshot, every message, everything. He flipped through them. His jaw clenched when he got to a picture of Vanessa in our guest bathroom, the one with the blue tiles. I knew it was ours because I saw my robe hanging in the background. Drew said, she told me she was at Target that day. She was, I said. Right after she Ed my husband. He didn't say anything to that. Just nodded and went inside. I waited in the next room, room 13, with the door cracked just enough to see everything. Vanessa pulled up at 7:58. 2 minutes early. She always was a planner. She got out of her car wearing a black top, tight jeans, heels. Her hair was curled. She looked like she was headed for a date, not a reckoning. She knocked once. Drew opened the door. She froze. She tried to smile, said, "What are you?" Then she saw the folder in his hands. I couldn't hear everything, but I could see her face. It dropped. She reached for his arm. He pulled away. He handed her the folder. She started flipping through it. Her mouth moved. She was trying to explain. Her eyes darted around, like she thought it was some kind of prank. Then I stepped out of room 13. She saw me and stepped back. "You," she said, like she couldn't believe it. "Me," I said. Vanessa turned to Drew. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. It just happened." Drew laughed. A dry, humorless sound. "It didn't just happen. You chose it." Over and over. She started crying. Real tears. I've seen her fake it before. This wasn't fake. She looked like her whole world collapsed. "I was going to tell you," she said to me. "When?" I asked. "Before or after the next hotel room?" She reached for me. I backed away. "You were like my sister," I said. "And you took the one person I trusted most, and you used him like a toy." She shook her head. "It wasn't like that. I loved him." Wrong words. Drew muttered, "You really said that out loud?" She turned to him. "Drew, please. I didn't stop loving you. I just got lost." "You weren't lost," I snapped. "You were busy. Booking rooms. Lying to your husband. Smiling in my face while you texted mine." She covered her mouth, sobbing. Drew looked at her. I want a divorce. I'll have the papers sent. Then he walked away, got in his car, drove off. Vanessa turned to me, still crying. You don't understand what it was like. Don't, I said. You made your choices. Now live with them. I walked away too. When I got home, I found Mark in the kitchen. He looked confused when he saw me. I thought you weren't back until tomorrow. I tossed the phone on the counter. Checked the texts. He picked it up, opened the screen. Scrolled. His face dropped. He tried to speak. Don't, I said. She showed up tonight. I was there. So was Drew. He turned pale. You set us up? No, I said. You did that all by yourself. He reached for me. I stepped back. I packed a bag, I said. You can have the house. I'm staying with my brother for now. Julia, please, you buried my father and my trust in the same weekend. I don't have anything left to give you. Then I walked out. I moved in with my brother Greg the same night. He didn't ask questions. Just cleared out his guest room, poured me a glass of wine, and sat with me in silence. He didn't need details. He saw my face and knew something deep had cracked. The next few days were a blur. I barely slept. I ate only when Greg made me. I went through every single memory of my marriage, every moment with Vanessa, picking it apart, wondering what I missed. Wondering when exactly the people closest to me became strangers. 3 days after I left, Mark started blowing up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails. The first ones were panicked. The later ones were pathetic. Then came anger. You ambushed me. You tricked me. This isn't fair. Then he tried sweet again. We can fix this. It was a mistake. I love you. I didn't reply to any of it. Vanessa messaged too. First just, please. Then, I'm so sorry. I hate myself. And finally, you don't understand what was happening in my life. You have no idea what I've been going through. As if pain gave her a pass to destroy mine. But here's where it gets worse. Or maybe better, depending on how you look at it. 2 weeks after the motel setup, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened, my stomach flipped. It was a woman named Lacey. She said, "Hi, I know this is weird, but I think we might have been with the same man. Mark." He told me he was separated. I didn't believe him until I saw the divorce story going around online. Can we talk? I called her back. She wasn't lying. She lived in Durham. She met Mark on a business trip he had last year. They kept in touch. Hooked up a few times after that. She had no idea he was married. He told her he and his wife were in the middle of separating and didn't want to make things messy. Sound familiar? She found my number because she saw someone on Facebook posting cryptic stuff about cheating and tagged Vanessa. That post got shared around. Lacey got curious and did some digging. She felt awful. Offered to send me screenshots too. She did. More photos. Different hotels. More lies. That's when the last piece clicked into place. It wasn't just Vanessa. She wasn't the only one. She wasn't even the first. I don't know why, but that made everything feel different. Like I had been walking around in a dream, thinking Vanessa was the worst part of it. But she was just a piece. Mark had been cheating for years. And now that he'd lost both of us, he was desperate. But not because he loved me, because he lost control. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to be smart. I went to a lawyer first. I'd always made less than Mark, so most of our accounts were in his name. But I had a savings account. Enough to hold me for a while. What I didn't know was how much he had spent. So I had the lawyer do a full audit. Turns out Mark was moving money around. Small amounts over time. Transferring it to prepaid debit cards. Some of that money? Used for hotel stays. Restaurant bills. Gifts I never saw. There was even a charge for a spa weekend in Asheville. He told me he was at a work conference that week. The lawyer laid it out for me. He said, "This isn't just adultery. It's marital fraud. We can use that." So I did. I filed for divorce quietly. Didn't even tell Mark. But I did prepare something else. Vanessa's school district had a strict morals clause. She worked as a counselor at a middle school. I knew she had worked hard for that job. I also knew the district reviewed public behavior complaints. So I sent them a tip. Anonymous. With proof. A week after I filed, Mark found out. He showed up at Greg's house unannounced. I was in sweatpants, hair a mess, not in the mood for anything. Greg opened the door and Mark just pushed past him like he still had rights in my life. You really filed for divorce, he said, holding the papers in his hand like they were an insult. Yes, I said, standing up. And if you ever barge in here again, I'll add harassment to the list. He laughed, bitter. You set me up. No, I said. You set yourself up. I just showed everyone what you did. I lost everything, he shouted. My job's on the line now. Half the office saw that story floating around Facebook. My boss pulled me in. You think that's revenge? You think that's fair? I stepped forward. Fair? You cheated on me with my best friend. Lied to my face for months, no years. And now that your life is falling apart, you want to cry about fairness. His face turned red. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. No, I said quietly. A mistake is something you regret. You planned this. Over and over. You knew exactly what you were doing. Every time you told me you loved me, you were lying. He looked like he wanted to say more, but Greg stepped in and said, time to go. Mark stared at me a second longer. Then he stormed out, slamming the door. I sank into the couch. My hands were shaking. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to scream. 2 days later, Drew texted me. Did you hear? I replied, hear what? He sent a screenshot of an article from a local blog. The headline. Middle school counselor under investigation for inappropriate conduct. The article didn't name Vanessa, but everyone who knew her would recognize the details. The anonymous tip included screenshots of her texts with Mark. Not the sexual stuff, just enough to show the affair, the deception, and the conflict of interest with her position. The school put her on administrative leave pending an investigation. Drew said, she called me crying last night. Said she might lose her license. Said she wished she could take it back. I didn't answer. The truth was, I didn't feel satisfied. Not yet. Because they still hadn't felt what I felt. So I made sure they would. I contacted the owners of the hotel they used most. Small place near the interstate, old but clean. I told them someone was using their business for repeated infidelity and that there might be a lawsuit coming down if one of the involved parties got messy. They panicked. They started reviewing their records. 3 days later, someone from the hotel called me. Turns out Vanessa had once booked a room under my name. Used it during one of her hookups with Mark. She used my ID when they asked for it. She must have snapped a picture of it once while we were out drinking or traveling together. I remembered now she asked to borrow my wallet once at a gas station when I was driving. I didn't think anything of it. That was identity fraud. I brought it to the police. They took it seriously. Vanessa got a visit. I don't know exactly how that conversation went, but Drew told me later that she called him, hysterical, begging him to fix it. He told her, I can't fix the mess you made. I didn't push charges. I didn't have to. Just the police showing up at her door, asking questions, was enough to wreck her life further. She left town 3 days later. Gone. Vanished. Moved in with her sister in Florida, from what I heard. As for Mark, the audit uncovered just enough to give me the leverage I needed. My lawyer filed for full control of the house, citing financial abuse and infidelity. It worked. Mark ended up in a 1-bedroom apartment near his job. Well, his former job. He got demoted 2 weeks later, then fired after someone leaked the screenshots to his boss's wife. Apparently, she recognized his number in the texts because she had seen it once before, under different circumstances. Yeah. Turns out Vanessa wasn't his only side girl. She was just the only one dumb enough to think he loved her. 3 months after I left, the divorce was finalized. I got the house, half his retirement, control of the joint savings. The lawyer said we could have gone harder, maybe even sued for emotional damages with all the proof we had. But I told him no. I didn't need to bleed him dry. He was already empty. I saw Mark one last time, at the courthouse. He looked smaller, grayer, worn out, like someone had drained all the fight out of him. He tried to speak after the hearing, followed me out to the sidewalk. I stopped. "Don't," I said. He shook his head. "I thought I could fix it." "You thought you'd get away with it?" I corrected him. He looked at me, eyes red. "She meant nothing. She meant enough for you to wreck everything." Then he asked something I didn't expect. "Do you ever think maybe we both made mistakes?" It was like a match to gasoline. I stepped toward him. I was loyal. I showed up. I forgave things I shouldn't have. You don't get to blame me for your decisions. He didn't respond. Just nodded, looked away. Then I said the last thing I'll ever say to him. "You're going to spend the rest of your life chasing things that make you feel important. But nothing will ever be enough. Because you threw away the one person who actually saw you." I walked away. Vanessa never got her job back. Word got around. She applied to other districts, but her name was mud. The screenshots were everywhere. She tried to clear her name online, claimed she was manipulated and depressed, but people weren't buying it. Last I heard, she was working at a chain coffee shop in Tampa. Someone sent me a photo. She looked tired, like someone waiting for a life that already passed her by. Drew filed for divorce too. He kept the house. He's doing better now. We meet for coffee sometimes. Not in a romantic way, just two people who know what it feels like to be lied to. One day, over coffee, he said, "You ever regret it? The setup? The exposure?" I thought about it for a long time. "No," I said, "because now they know how it feels. To lose everything." He nodded. "They'll never get it back." "No," I said. "And they never deserved it in the first place." Sometimes I still wake up with a pit in my stomach. Like I'm still there, at the funeral, watching Mark on his phone, thinking everything's normal. But then I get up. I go for a walk. I look at my new keys on the counter. My name alone on the deed. And I breathe. I'm not healed. Not completely. But I'm free. And they're not. That's my revenge.